is the name of the game. Are you one of those types of people that only fills up when the fuel light comes on? You can drive 3,000 miles and still feel like you're going nowhere. According to the media, we do it to ourselves. Why is it we truckers are seen as the bad guys? And today, the one thing we've got going for us is what we can control. So, can it be used to win the game? Let's find out and take it to the front lines.
The Drive Act is BS. It's pandering.
I think trucking is a very good career.
The best thing you can possibly do is put forth a bill you know has no prayer in heck I've ever seen above. I don't like speed limiters.
Majority of the blame is the companies.
We don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
And remember, folks, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You have tuned in to the world's newest premier talk show, Truckin' Frontline. Greetings to you truck lovers and truth seekers from all across the heartland. This is the show that brotherhood in itself is made of. Welcome to a show that's all about the road, the headlines, and the United States of Trucking. Collaborative think tank for advanced trucking journalism. I've been in this industry 3 decades now, and I've come up with a one road, one code way of life, getting the job done and doing the best you can, giving you guys the benefit of knowledge of those 3 decades to help make trucking great again. Boss Man here, your guide through common sense, news, and inspirational material. We're going to talk tonight about a couple of things. I mean, the thumbnail itself is kind of revealing. That is, if you're a young female handing out money. But you're well advised to pay attention to people like myself in this day and age, because mainstream media isn't going to report on what we're talking about tonight. They'll gloss over it and they'll make it look good. But I'm going to tell you something. They won't get down to the meat and potatoes like I do. All right. I developed this show as a means to be a fact check, a counterbalance for the corporate spin that exists in mainstream media. I don't like it. I haven't liked it for a long time. That is why I developed this show, to give you guys a sounding board, because you can bring to me what the mainstream media says, like I don't already see it. I hate it. I despise it. I think they got their own agenda, and it's sickening. Their own agenda means we don't have enough drivers when we clearly have an abundance of. Their own agenda is trying to push all kinds of products down our throat that we don't need. And their own agenda means we have to make less money and spend more money just to please the guys that pay their advertising budget. I'm not all about that. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to give it to you the way it is, because I'm in the industry. I see the way things work. I am a trucker, first and foremost. I am a broadcaster by nature. If you've got an opinion about that and you want to sound off and be heard on this show tonight, by all means, give us a call, 860-785-3547, 860-785-3547. We also take suggestions, comments, criticism all day long. If you see fit, give us a call or send us an email. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. We are easy to find. Just look at us up at truckincitymedia.com. We are getting tonight to a matter of, I think, inspiration, what I call insight. That's where my latest videos have come from. But first, I want to make you aware of something. my computer decides it wants to cooperate. It's supposed to do something right now, but it's not. So I'll just go on with it. There's a gentleman in the audience named Thomas who has an outfit he runs to help truckers. He has made a point of making shirts available that have the logo and insignia as pictured right here. If you so want to buy one. Now it's more than just a logo, it's more just a shirt. You're actually helping somebody that's providing a beneficial service to truckers. Tom, if you're in the audience and you'd like to join, hit that StreamYard link down below in the description. I'll see it come up and make you part of the show. I'd like others to know your story, but his mission is to help, basically, as I understand it, truck drivers that are transitioning from retiring from the industry to getting a regular home life. And that mission in and of itself is a noble one, and I support it 100%. Now, I'm not supported by his channel. I'm not pushing him. I'm not pushing his outfit, nor is he paying me to say any of this. I just know because I've spoken with him. I know that I'm very proud of what he does. And he was nice enough to make a limited quantity of shirts available with my logo on it. So if you're in the audience, Tom, and you want, put your link down for a driver's store or driver's life store. You can go ahead and order a shirt that has my logo on it. You'll have a piece of history. So I recommend you do it because I don't know if and when I'm going to merchandise anything, but if I do, I don't know if I can beat his prices, but I'll certainly try my damnedest. But moving on to the reason you tuned in, let's talk about insights in truck. Are you one of those kind of drivers that thinks of moving through life with half a tank of fuel? Now, before you throw your coffee at the phone and your CB radio and all that and make your cab all messy. No, I'm not talking about fuel mileage. This is basically a metaphor for how we live our lives, okay? How we drive, how we look at our lives, how we look at our careers, how we burn ourselves right down to the bone, working the clock, the dispatchers, the job, the schedule, the demands, the traffic, all the things that are associated with trying to get the job done. A lot of us, and I'm personally guilty of this, a lot of us run our lives full tilt. We don't take the time necessary to sit back and think about ourselves. We are one breakdown and one mishap away from losing our crap. Okay? That breakdown happens, that surprise detour, something happens, and then boom, you pop. Like I said in the intro, all it takes is that one moment and you're done. You know, that, my friends, is what is called burnout. And one of my missions on this channel is to say and do all the things necessary to commit to you. Burnout should not happen. Be careful, be wary about it. When you pour yourself into that logbook and everything that the brokers tell you and everything the customer wants, okay, it's like you're doing their work. You're not thinking of yourself, and that will take a toll on you. All right. One of the things I've come to develop and understand is that, no, not the right one. I had something ready to go for this. I'm severely messed up. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. And boom. Nope, not the right one. Oh, well, folks, it is what it is. I don't have all my banners tonight. So what I was going to say and what I was going to show you is, when it comes down to it, toughness without wisdom is stubbornness. It's like you're going for broke, but you're losing sight of the bigger picture. One of the things I want you to be aware of tonight, when it comes down to knowing what you're doing is to be able to control what you can control. Control your controllables, as it were. Your rest, your mindset, the fuel you give yourself. Okay, the things you can control, manage them. And it's something we don't do enough of. And I think we need to take some time and think about some things that will help us get through that. I've developed 3 things I want you to know I practice and I think will help you. You may have forgotten about it. So here we go. Feed your mind before the world feeds you garbage. Don't wake up first thing in the morning on that cup of coffee and sit there scraping TikTok for the latest vibes, YouTube for the latest news, all that kind of stuff. Because all that's going to do is put you in a negative mindset to get through your day, and you're already less than half a tank of fuel. All right. Sit down, write down a few things you'd like to accomplish. Take note of the things you're grateful and thankful for, and then move on with your day. During your day, item number 2, take 30 minutes. We take a 30-minute break anyway, but take that time to actually get yourself together. Instead of scrolling TikTok, instead of talking to dispatch, instead of thinking about the next load or the next mile or the next thing, disconnect. Just stop and think, what am I doing today that's benefiting and helping me? What do I feel good about? Get out, walk around your truck, make a phone call to someone you can trust and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Let them hold you accountable to actually doing what I'm suggesting, which is control your controllables. Have somebody help you with that. Write down the one thing at the end of the day that you were good at controlling, maybe better than the day before. If you choose to skip the nonsense about going through all the things that normally happen in your day and focus on the things you can control day by day, doing a little bit better job, I think that will go a long way to helping people being less stressed, being more able to cope with the everyday environment that they deal with. And there you go. In one way or the other, we can make trucking great again. How? By controlling our controllables. So next time you're tempted to skip any of that, like your fuel or your time, think to yourself, what's this getting me? The one thing I can control is me. I can't control everybody else. If you got any ideas in the comments, put it down, share with others. It's about time we started making everybody else's day better. Trucker Mike, welcome to the show. This paid by the hour is the best way these days. How I feel especially about the pay. We'll get to some of that here in just a few minutes. Skipped over a couple of comments, so I think I'm a little bit out of chronology here. So let's start at the beginning. Because I think we're going to see a lot of us drivers transition out of the industry, getting paid local or by the hour and home every night. Some people that works, but eventually once those positions fill up, what are you going to do? So yeah, it'll work for some people, but not everybody. I know some people that are going into local and they love it. They think it's the greatest thing. So, hey, for everyone out there, there is a job. And maybe that's yours. Who knows? I think we're going to see a lot of us drivers transition. Same thing, it just duplicated. Shame. He says, pay by the hour is the best way these days. I feel, especially about the pay. Well, hopefully, when it comes to pay, that's an area that I think over time, I'm hoping we'll see a little bit of improvement. But pay is only half the picture. Okay. The other part is what you make of it. Because if you decide to do the job, you're accepting that paycheck, whether that's by the mile, by the hour, by the load, by the percentage. You got to start somewhere. But you sign on that dotted line, whatever that is, you accept that. Now, I'm not saying you have to commit to that. Yeah, okay. It works for now, but what happens in another 6 to 8 months when the economy changes and you see a good opportunity over here? You going to go that way? As long as you're honest with the person you're working for, I don't see a problem with it. People do it all the time. The idea is that you're looking out for you and you're protecting you. You are the best asset. You are the one thing that needs the most protection. Good evening, Griff. Welcome to the show. Just so you guys know, and I'm updating everybody, we are cranking out videos on a little bit more regular basis. Therefore, I'm growing a little bit faster. So as of the start of this show, I had, I believe it was 847 subscribers. So to all those 847 watching on the replay, because you're not watching right now, thank you for your love and support. Go down below, take a moment, like this broadcast, help YouTube send it out to ever more people. I would be eternally grateful. And if you haven't already become a subscriber, do so now. Take a moment, get on with the one road, one code philosophy. It will benefit you in the long run, because we are talking every day about ways to make trucking great again. Now, I bring briefly up a couple of guys in the audience and see what they've got to say, and then we're going to get right to the headlines. Good evening, Thumper.
Hello.
Good evening, my friend. How are you today?
Oh, not too bad. Just making my way back to the good old Great North. I was
Hey,
down
there
in
you go.
down in Louisville for the weekend. I had a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of people. So
Great. Any of your subscribers come and find you?
actually, surprisingly, I ran into a few people. They walked up to me and they know exactly who I was, especially since I had Bo with me the first day.
Yeah.
They walked up and said hi, and
Good
it
deal.
was a really good time. I look forward to doing that again, and then possibly in the works, I might be down in Joplin this fall for
Wow.
the truck show down there.
Good deal. Well, certainly looking forward to that. You got anything to add for the controlling your controllables suggestions? I mean, with all your years of experience, what is your what comes through your mind when it comes down to making sure you can control what seems like a very chaotic industry?
Well, I mean, generally, you can only control what you can control, and that is your truck. You can't
True.
control how the loads are dispatched to you if you're a company driver.
Yeah.
You can't do it. I mean,
No.
they may say it might be an open freight or whatever, but in one way or another, they get you to do what they want you to do, whether it's by manipulation or be like, "Oh, you're the closest one there." Well, I mean, that's still manipulation, but you know,
It's
it
forced
is.
dispatch. It's forced dispatch without being a forced dispatch.
Exactly, that's what
Yeah.
it is. They put
Yeah.
a guilt trip on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, you know where I stand with my whole TikTok and everything is, you know, I'm here to have fun, show
Yeah.
people to, you know, see the sites that I see that a lot of people don't get to see, and explain my side of the industry that I work on, but also mental health. And you were kind of
Yes.
touching base on that, and yes, you're right. Don't when you wake up in the morning, don't don't just sit there and be like, oh, well, I gotta see what my friends are doing. No, you know, yeah, like you said, 30 minutes. Just sit there, drink your coffee. I know
Mhm.
sometimes there's times where I wake up where the sun is coming up with that. It's just very rarely because I work nights,
Mhm.
but when I do, you know, sometimes I'll sit there in my driver's seat and just stare out the window and watch the sun come up.
I know for a fact when I wake up and don't have the time, I have a totally different day.
Yeah.
My day is completely wasted and useless because I don't take the time, and it happens more than I want it to, but I don't take the time to gather my thoughts, plan my day, take honestly stock in being thankful and grateful to all the things that, do happen on a daily, you know, life basis. So I think that's the best way to start your day, really,
Well,
honestly.
it It is.
Time
I
to
mean,
you.
like I said, I work nights, so my days are nights, and my nights are my days. I'm
Yeah.
just back. I'm goofy in the head
Right.
anyways, so it don't matter.
Right.
But no, that's what I do. I will sit in the truck, and Bo will either be on my lap or sitting on the chair next to me, and we'll be. I'll sit there and pet him, drink my coffee, or right before I'm going to sleep, I'll sit there and pat him and do my normal routine and just sit there and just, a lot of times my eyes are closed. I'm just sitting there relaxing, trying to get the day off of me, or, just be like, okay, it's been a long day or that was a long trip. Let's just sit here, relax, not think about anything.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes not thinking about anything is actually the better medicine, in my opinion.
I agree. I didn't want to use the term meditate because everybody does that, and I don't really get into that whole harmony and all that. No. I do take me time though. I do concentrate on myself, clear my mind. Again, focus on my gratitude and thankfulness, and I might look up a scripture or two, in the Bible and kind of relate to my upcoming day. Things I can do and I can control to get my mind and my spirit in the right place. Those are the things I think are important. And that's kind of, everybody has a different name for it. Some say meditation, others say, different things, but that's what I think of it. I felt like that would benefit anybody watching the show, and of course anybody having a rough time in life. Moving on to comments, Trucker Mike says, I understand what you just said about pay, but for company drivers, mileage pay needs to go. It's outdated. Well, there are a multitude of things that basically exist for reasons we have honestly no place understanding. What I will say is this, is time goes on, and this whole issue over capacity is actually figured out and adjusted, that problem will fix itself. Because, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have this kind of problem. We didn't have this issue over everybody thinking they're not getting paid enough. Yeah, it existed, but it wasn't mainstream like it is today. Would you not agree, Thumper?
Oh, no, I'll agree, and I disagree with the mileage pay has to go, because I'm going to tell you something right now.
Mhm.
There's, in the hopper industry, you know how I work. I don't say numbers.
Right.
But I give it straight out how it is. I'll tell you right now, I got one driver in hopper right now. He makes more money than I am making off the truck right now.
Yep.
Because the hopper rates are in the garbage.
Yep.
And he gets paid mileage.
Yep.
So,
Evening to Fate Truckin. God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, Fate.
In the comments, but he's there anyway. Taking care of ourselves, especially physical and mental health, are essential as our careers as drivers. Yes. So in that respect, he definitely agrees.
Yes.
Griff chiming in with a comment. If dispatch got you a load going 400 miles and only pays $300 and you get the 25% of the load, would you rather get 50 cents a mile or 25% of the load?
Well, it depends on what you're getting per se, how much is the percentage of the load. I mean,
Personally, I'm going to cut the entire question off because I wouldn't take a 400-mile load for $300. That's just no. I don't even think there's room for even the cheapest driver out there to take that. So you want to give me a different example when asked whether I'd take 50 cents a mile or 25% of the load.
Okay, why don't we change it to 400 or a 350 mile load to a $400 load?
Why don't we just assume the best case scenario is we're going to take what provides the truck the most money? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're working for. You're working for the truck.
That is very true, but as a company driver with the pay, we pay our drivers percentage and mileage. It is up to them what they want to do. But one thing that we will not do is we won't keep jumping a driver from one or the other, because the rates fluctuate that much. Is either going to stick to
Well,
one or you're going to stick to the other.
right.
Now
That's by virtue
when
of the fact you have contracts. You have to honor contracts.
yeah, exactly. When
Yeah.
the rates are good in the hopper world, it was $30 here, $30 there when we sat down and figured everything out. I mean, hey, percentage is paying $30 more than this one, or mileage is paying $30 more this way. It's literally a horse a piece.
Well, I'm of the opinion that if you're nickel diming rates that badly to survive out here, change your job. Seriously, dude. I mean, honestly. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Things are bad all over. People are fighting just to survive. I get that. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But if you're getting to the point where you're actually having to nickel dime that bad that you've got to go back to your boss and change conditions, find another line of work, dude. You don't need to be dealing with the stress. Okay?
Exactly.
If you can make enough for your truck to make the truck survive and to put money in your pocket, then you're doing it right. If you can't, you need to put yourself in a place where you can. Nickel diming, like you were just talking about a minute ago, Thumper, or like what Griff is suggesting. That's a recipe for disaster. It really is. And like Trucker Mike said, we do need to have the environment change so that we get paid better. Everybody says that, and I agree with that. But that's
Okay.
a time issue and a capacity issue.
Well, it's
Hopefully
not just
yeah.
quit. There's so much. I know you can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes right now.
Yeah, I hear you.
Technology
Yeah,
in these
yeah,
newer trucks
yeah,
where
yeah.
you make them where we can't afford them. I
Exactly,
mean,
yeah.
I know I give a lot of people crap about what they drive and this and that,
Right.
and I drive a
Yeah.
hooded truck, and I give the plastic trucks heck. But at the end of the
Right.
day, and this kind of started this whole thing. I've kind of noticed a theme the last couple months,
Yep.
and it's been respecting one another. If
Yep.
you show me respect out on the road, I'll give you a respect.
Right. Thumper, I'm running long on this segment. I'm going to bring somebody else up, get a quick opinion, and
Yeah.
I'm going to move on, and we'll get back to this. We'll circle back to it. We've got a
Okay.
long show tonight because I got a lot packed in. So be back with you here momentarily. Good evening, Poet, my man. How are you doing?
Oh, if I were any better, I'd be twins or cloned,
I
and
hear
you
you.
would shoot one of me because you couldn't handle two of me.
I can't handle one of you. What are you joking about? Hey, question. I wanted to ask you this. What
Yes,
would
sir.
you offer as advice based on what I opened the show with in terms of controlling your controllables? When you're 50 some years, you've got to have a nugget of wisdom coming from it.
I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Uh, it's part of the serenity prayer,
Right.
Uh, uh,
Don't even try. Continue your thought. But I
yeah.
get where you're going. Yeah. Because I know
Okay.
I see what you're doing, but
Okay.
we're tight on
So
time. So, let's not
I
force
cannot control. I
Uh huh.
cannot control
Mm-hmm.
what you do.
Yep.
You
Exactly.
cannot control
Yeah.
as what I do.
Right.
Mind you, here, yes,
Yep.
you can.
Exactly.
You know, um, I can only put the controls in place
Mm-hmm.
where it fixes my butt.
There you go. All right. Wise words. Good 50-year perspective on that. All right. Hang tight, Poet. We'll be back with you here momentarily. I'm going to bring on a caller because he's got somebody on the line. So welcome to the show, Griff. I'm glad you took the time to call us. What say you on the big news of the day?
Beginning of it, but what I was just trying to clarify, hopefully I can somewhat clarify what I was going on about on percentage versus mileage. Some places are paying like 78 cents a mile and everything, so loaded or whatever. that's what. But when I was using the example, I met a driver a few years ago. Stuff. He was did a load from basically Louisiana down to Houston and was only getting paid $400, and he got $400 for it, and he was getting like 25% of the load. So,
well, like you have on the
$100
screen, you said
going.
Orlando to Phoenix was only $1.03 a mile.
Yeah. Well, that was your lately stuff, and Louis checking on Truck's, what was it, Truck Smart load board,
right,
and everything.
Yeah.
And then there's the brokers out there that kind of expect you to take it,
Yeah.
rather than haggle. If you haggle for it, but if you're kind of can't really dispatch yourself and find your own load stuff, and you got to depend on a dispatcher. Sometimes they do pretty good, but sometimes they'll just grab a load close to you stuff, and instead of just haggling with them, you'll get it, then you'll go say 500 miles for $800 carrying 43,000 pound load stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So that's my point being though is if you're as an owner operator, said you're kind of losing money because you got to operate the truck stuff. But if you're a company driver and you do that 500 miles, you're actually making money because you're getting if you're getting paid 50 cents a mile, you're making $250. That's half the load.
Yep.
And everything. But as an owner operator, you got to pay for fuel. You got to do all this other stuff, or even paying percentage wise stuff. You're losing half the money that you get if you, on average. I think it was like there's some places I've heard of is like on average like 25%. Don't quote me on that, but that was what my point was being on terms of getting rid of the mileage rate. And everything. So
what's got Poet?
But
Well, and what Griff is saying makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I have been a company driver for many, 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 many years until I retired.
Okay.
Yes, I had my own truck. No, I was not a businessman, so I lost my butt. But the thing is that, if you go to a broker, Griff, yes, I can make money. And if the company loses money from that load, and I'm sorry to say, but who cares? I am a company driver. I make my money driving
The only exception that I have to cite in what you just said, Poet, is if the company loses money, you're eventually going to lose it because everything goes down. As soon as the company loses money, you then start making less and less as a result of that. So that's a double-edged sword. I don't think you want to open up.
No.
You got to sit and think about it this way too. If you want to sit there and really break it down, okay, you're going to be a percentage driver. I know companies out there that will pay, we'll just say the 25%, and that's after expenses, after fuel, after this, after that. So then, say out of $100, you do $100.
That's why they separate, truck expenses versus driver. They always separate the two.
Yes, but there are companies out there, the driver gets 25% of what the load pays after expenses. So you could have $1,000 load and say you have $500-600 worth of expenses. Well, out of that $500 or $400, you're only getting 25% of that. So you're getting, there's just so many different ways where if your mileage, you get paid, you get the same amount of pay no matter what.
I understand that, and I was on mileage at that time.
Yep. Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna move on. We're gonna cover more on this during the show. So definitely stay tuned and hang tight on that one.
Hello.
Yeah, I was just gonna get to that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I know who that is. Hello, Dollar.
Oh, okay. Introduce me. Who is that?
This is actually one of my good friends, Dollar. He was down at the Match Truck Show with me. I got to meet him for the first time over the weekend, and I was
Good
literally on the phone with him, like, hey, I got to go do a podcast. And he goes, send me the link. So I sent him the link. So welcome.
Well, last dollar, I hope you're impressed. I hope you're a subscriber, and I hope you benefit from the common sense coming from Truckin City Media. Anyway, thank you for joining the podcast tonight. And let's get moving on, shall we? I got some headlines to cover. And Griff, I want to thank you for calling the show tonight.
No problem.
You are a
No
great
problem.
contributor, and you are a loyal fan. I appreciate your contributing to the show.
Yeah, and unfortunately, common sense is uncommon virtue.
Which we're bringing back ever so slowly. God bless them.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Moving on to the headline. As soon as my computer cooperates. Trying to do way too much, way too fast. Bear with me, folks. When are we going to see the last of the PC police? Why do I ask that? I ask it because there's an interesting little ditty I'm going to play for you here. When you talk about PC police, no, I'm not kidding. I thought we'd shown them with the last of the Me Too hurrah. Everybody remembers that, right? Yeah. Well, apparently, everybody involved had to flee the Me Too movement and get directly into what you're about to witness. All right. Obviously, you'll see what I'm talking about as I play this clip. Where is it? Where is it? It done disappeared. Well, let me cue it up again. This is funny. That's why I can't see it. Wrong file, dummy. Where is it? Where is it? B-roll headline. There we are.
Let's see. How can I put this? You know, you're driving behind a truck. It's not always a truck, but most times a truck, and there's a set of Franken beans hanging off the hitch minus the Frank. Well, effectively, immediately, those beans are no longer legal to display in a public setting like a road where people can get offended by them. That new law now classifies displaying them as a misdemeanor in the state of Idaho. It is unlawful to, quote, display toys or products intended to resemble male or female genitals where there is present another person or persons who are offended. The law mainly looks to make Idaho's indecent exposure law less vague. Now, as for the dangling decoration, again, it could be a misdemeanor, but according to the law, should someone be found guilty of violating this law 3 times in 5 years, they would then be charged a felony and could face a prison sentence. If you have one and you're headed to Idaho, I guess be aware.
Now, my personal take on this is, can we say overboard? I mean, every place you go, especially when there's a bunch of farming people, quote, rednecks, backcountry people, they all have these things. And what's Idaho? Nothing but farm country, most of it. If that's what you people spend your money on, Idaho, give me a break. I'm not picking on the citizens. I'm picking on the government. I think there are far better fish to fry than steel thingies hanging off the back of somebody's truck. Really? Just saying. Bureaucracy gone wild on headline number 2, right here on the Frontline show. Picture this. A fella named Hector, hardworking maintenance supervisor from around Ronkonkoma, Long Island, finds himself in the crosshairs of New York City's parking enforcement. He's been slapped with nearly $1,000 in parking fines for a truck he sold months ago. I could bore you with a lot of details. Suffice it to say, all right, the story itself highlights a glaring issue, all right? A bureaucratic maze where innocent people are left holding the bag for mistakes they didn't even make. It turns out the system wasn't able to keep up with fines and subpoenas and updated registrations. That's basically the entire nuts of the system. Links down below in the description if you want to look at it. It's kind of hysterical. Sad in the fact that the guy was still dealing with this a year and a half later, but it's a glaring issue of what I hope, mark my words, Elon and his crew are able to fix. It's the very thing he was talking about on the nightly news programs over the weekend when he was talking about the antiquated nature of most computer systems. The reason people get away with the fraud they get away with in this country is because we're dealing with computer systems that were designed in the 50s and haven't been maintained, looked at, or updated since the 60s. So this story talks about that. So if you're interested in looking at that, yes, good read, definitely. Does that keep you up at night and make you worry about things, Thumper? I mean, the fact that you could yourself one day get a ticket that you can't fight, or takes you a year and expensive God knows what to figure out?
You really want me to answer that one?
By all means, you're on the show.
Been there, done that, and no, it doesn't keep me awake because I wake up every morning. Well, okay, it doesn't keep me up at night because I'm working at night. I mean, I just want
currently I'm dealing with that very thing myself. I've been trying for 3 months to re-register my car from state to state, but because the laws from one state to another differ, I'm no closer today than I was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So, and I'm basically dealing with that very same problem almost.
Well, so what can I mean? To me, it's one of those things where I just want to look at you and say, what does the price in tea in China have to do with anything? You know, but I mean, yes, you bring the stuff up because it's all related one way or another, and I do understand that. But yeah, I mean, is it
okay? Whoa! All right, I gotta stop you. Normally, I'm on your side on things, but I gotta stop you, dude. Think about the very computer systems I just referred to.
I was getting there.
Yeah, DMV is loaded with it. FMCSA, NHSTA. Need I continue? All these freaking agencies that supposedly know more than we do about our job. What kind of computer systems are they running with, Jack? I mean, you think you're in any safe spot dealing with these agencies when their computer systems can't get out of their own way? Just saying.
I really want to say something right now, but I can't.
Well,
no, I mean,
yeah.
it's.
Well, I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, but the reason I bring it up, there's right there.
You're not wrong. What I want to say is what they're doing with the money, but there's new.
We're finding that out, ain't we? Slowly but surely, we're finding that out.
I mean, I know how to get rid of emails.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Right, exactly. There you go.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. We could have all these high-tech stuff for the military where a guy could fly a drone from sitting here in the United States all halfway across the world, but when it comes to our own personal security, it's messed up that, there's stuff from the 60s and whatnot that hasn't made much sense.
Exactly.
It is messed up. So, no, I do agree with you on that.
Yep. As we navigate the news feeds, let's talk about a scenario where the money goes the other way. Can I ask you if you are a loser or a winner in the game of money? Well, hold on to your answers, folks, because we're about to talk about something that I think you're going to be a little bit surprised at. Mainstream ain't cutting it. They ain't covering it. But we are here on the front line. In the past week, a significant development has emerged that's poised to impact every trucker on the road. Lawmakers have reintroduced the bipartisan Strengthening Supply Chains Through Truck Driver Incentives Act. This proposed legislation aims to tackle the ongoing driver retention crisis by offering substantial tax credits of up to $7,500 for current Class A CDL holders who log in a minimum of, get this, 1,900 hours a year. For those new to the profession or enrolled in a registered truck apprenticeship program, the bill offers even more money. You guys get a refundable tax credit of $10,000. These credits would be available for the years 25 and 26, should the bill pass the law. Now let's think about this for a minute. The trucking industry has long faced challenges in retaining drivers, long hours, time away from the family. You know how I'm going to finish the rest of that sentence. This proposed tax incentive seeks to address these issues head on by putting more money directly into the pockets of hardworking truckers. Didn't we just, and I'm off script on this, didn't we just cover ground saying that there was a capacity problem? And now these lawmakers want to throw more money, ergo put more drivers. Talk about confusion. Just saying. It's a move that acknowledges the role we take in keeping our country moving, and it aims to make profession more financially rewarding. Fine, I get that. But as with any proposal, there are questions that need answering. Will these tax credits be enough for not only to retain current drivers, but also attract new talent? One question, obviously. How will this impact the broader supply chain? Lord only knows. But I've got some more questions going forward. And we're opening the phone lines. You guys know the number. If not, I'll share it in a minute. I want you guys to share your thoughts and experience, because it appears to me that this bill is a direct contradiction to exactly what we're experiencing in this industry. So I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below. Give our studio lines a call, 860-785-3547. Let us know your thoughts. I don't think we need to throw more money at the problem. I think we need to throw common sense at the problem. What say you, Thumper?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one thing the world's lacking right there is common sense.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I mean, this isn't the first time they've tried to fix trucking. They tried it before in 2022. You remember? Trucking Action Plan done by Pete Buttigieg.
No,
He stood at the podium and he promised to save the supply chain by holding a truck driver listening session. That's right. No action, no change. And here we are 2 years later. Just saying. That didn't work very well.
No, well, now you got to take these classes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Arkansas is doing the right thing. That's all I'm going to say about that.
You know what? I was waiting for somebody in the comments to bring that up. So far, I haven't seen anybody say anything.
Arkansas is doing the right thing. If you cannot write or speak fluent English, they pull you out of the truck, they fine you, rip your CDL away, they fine the company. And honestly, what they also need to do,
I think what you're doing is you're stating facts, yes, but I think you're over complicating it. What they're doing is they're saying, look, if you can't perform the job, you don't need to do it. And they're doing it by virtue of the work permit. That's the thing, okay? Because everybody that comes in, if they can't speak English, if they're an immigrant, legal or not, that's not for debate tonight. But whether they come in and they're legal or not, they are given an employment authorization document. That's what Arkansas is using to determine whether or not someone can actually do the job.
Well, it actually states in the was it the CDL book or the whole driver's license? I can't remember. You have to read and write fluent English.
Right. But there's also
Arkansas is the only one.
Your signal's breaking in and out, Thumper. So
Yeah.
Check your signal.
Sorry. Well, Arkansas is the ones who are willing to enforce it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They are taking advantage of a position. That's what they're doing. The position is they're given a work permit. That work permit is now, according to higher ups in the government. I'm not getting into the particulars of that because this is not a particular. I'm not making this a political show tonight. So, but because they've said that permit now is expired, Arkansas is doing what they deem necessary to keep the roads safe. I totally get it. I've said for years there have been too many loopholes in the system that allow people that are untrained and unqualified. Note, I'm not saying anything about their immigration status or their ability to do anything. If they're not trained and not qualified, they don't need to be doing the job.
I was just gonna say, it ain't even them too. There's a lot of Americans out there who shouldn't be in a truck either.
Oh, I mean, the same is true no matter where you go. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are, they may have a CDL and they may do the job, but the job they're in, it's unsafe. Not everybody can be a specific kind of trucker, and not everybody needs to be in control of 80,000 pounds. Some people, all you need is a Class B. Stay with the small trucks, or the hot shots or whatever. Stay out of my way. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, that kind of circles back to what I've been saying for a long time too. You need to specialize in a skill in the industry. Once you master it, then you can move on to another one.
Yep. Back with you here in a minute, Thumper. I got somebody else wanting to give me an opinion. What say you in the business of either Arkansas or the tax credit?
Okay.
Or you got to really upset the apple cart. Remember, this is not a political show.
No. I'm not going into the political end of it. Okay. I agree. I agree with you and Thumper.
Okay.
However, I spent 45 years driving in the USA.
Yep.
And Arkansas is saying if I don't have a USA-based CDL A, B, C, D, Z license, I'm not allowed to drive in their state.
I think your situation's a little different. Because you would have to come in by virtue of an HB2 visa.
This is true. But Arkansas has said in that same bill.
I know what Arkansas said. You would not have any problems in Arkansas because you can read and write English and you speak English.
But I don't have a USA-based CDL.
If you went through the embassy and got your employment authorization document, you'd get in the same way everybody else does.
But that's not what Arkansas is saying in that bill.
I'm being funny, poet. I get what you're saying. But what the thing is though, for many, many years, people have loopholed the system to death.
Yeah, I know.
That's what they're going after. And you know what? Biden should have done that. We should have been doing this way back when it started. Because this whole era of crap started back when Obama was president.
It's not just Biden and Obama and
here I go making it political.
The rest of the backsides of all the presidents. It's got nothing to do with it. Okay.
Yep.
Arkansas decided that can't speak English, can't read or write English, you're done.
Exactly. Yep.
However, I think
my audio is still there, but my video is frozen. I know that. Yeah.
I think I'm very well conversant in English.
Yep.
I can read and write in several different languages other than English.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But because I hold a Canadian CDL, I'm not allowed to drive in Arkansas anymore. And I think that's wrong. Like the reciprocity Okay, because Canada still allows drivers from Arkansas with a CDL to come to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the
Well,
reciprocity?
that's the state's rights issue right there. The state of Arkansas can do whatever the hell they want. They don't care about Canada, and honestly, the rest of the states in the union don't either. I mean, in Canada, don't care about individual states. Do you care how Tennessee feels? Do you give a
I
crap whether North Carolina likes you or not?
I do.
It's the states. My point is,
No,
it's
no,
a
no,
state's
no.
issue. It's a state's issue.
I do.
Yeah. Well, I know
Why?
you don't
Because
represent everybody in Canada, though. That's my point.
okay, I'll shut up
All
now.
I'm saying. Well, all I'm saying is, when a state's issue's been had, it's a state's issue. If it affects the entire country, different story. But in terms of the country, we've been abused by loopholes for the longest time. Last Dollar says government should not be in charge of. You don't need to finish that statement. Last Dollar, they don't need to be in something that's bigger than them. For years, they keep wanting to control industries. You put whatever industry behind that statement and finish that sentence however you want. They don't need to be in it. Point in case is the last video I just did, the FMCSA leadership video. They've got Derek Bars nominated for head of FMCSA. He's got nothing on trucking. He's worked with law enforcement. He's worked with the State Highway Patrol in Florida. Big deal. He's got a little bit of commercial and law enforcement edge. But has he done a day in trucking? No. Did Adrian come here? No. Did 90% of the people that lead these agencies? No. We need to stop the practice of people running agencies that have no clue what it is they're representing. It's time to start putting in people like Todd Spencer or Chris Spears. Not that these people would be a benefit. I'm saying because they have experience. I don't want unions and I don't want IDA running, but you get the point that I'm making. We need to have people leading the country in ways that they are familiar with what they serve. A trucker runs a trucking outfit. Somebody at the DOT runs the DOT. Somebody with, drafting and engineering runs, whatever. You get the point I'm making. That's what will start making positive changes that will actually start making money for industries left, right, and sideways. Griff says, I could use the money, either get down payment for another truck or help maintain my truck since tax. Good thing you mentioned that. Here's how this breaks down, and I'll bring my guest back up in a second. This is not a check. What we're talking about, it's not cash in hand. It's going to be a refundable tax credit, meaning you have to wait, file, qualify, and then let the IRS decide if you deserve your hard-earned benefit. Think about that. It's your incentive, but you've got to apply like you're asking for permission or getting a loan. Go figure. Now, the fact that you brought that up, Griff, good for you catching that. But he goes on to say, and talking about Poet, just get the independent from the left coast of Canada, have a vertical. Yeah. I pick on him, but honestly, it is a state's issue. That whole thing with Arkansas is a state's issue.
Hold up. No, I'm stopping you guys right there.
I kind of figured you would.
I've been trying to get your attention for a minute. I was about ready to get off here and call the studio line.
No. I always give everybody equal attention.
Poet is giving you false information. A Canadian can go to Arkansas, just like they can go anywhere in the United States to their drop-off and then their pickup back to Canada. That's it. You can't pick up from Arkansas, deliver here, deliver there. That's where they're going to get you.
Right. So what you're talking about, though, is a in-state load while he's across the border, right?
Yes. That's the only, and it's like that everywhere, not just Arkansas. Yeah. Canadians come down to pick up where they need to pick up, and then they go back to Canada. Just like when we go up to Canada, we drop off where we need to drop off, and then we come back to the States. If we get caught doing anything else, and that's, going from this province to that province, we get in trouble with Canada, just like Canadians down here. If they do that, there's so much misinformation on that.
Okay, let's let the man come on and defend himself. I'm not going to keep this going for another 2 hours, so let's keep this civil and keep it short.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
Poet, what say you to this whole issue?
Okay. Thumper, what you're talking about is interstating / cabotage. Okay?
Right.
And that's never been allowed in the 50 years that I was trucking.
Right.
Okay? So, no, the way that Arkansas's laws are reading right now is that if you don't have a USA issued CDL,
Mm-hmm.
do not come into Arkansas.
Show me where it says that. I'm serious because you got your information so screwed up. Because
Now,
if you yourself
let me
have a load from Canada that delivers into Arkansas, you are telling me that you have to get to Missouri, unhook your trailer, and have somebody else take it in for you? I call bullshit.
Well, and
what
that's
now?
the way
Let me
it
let me
reads.
let me
Go
let
ahead.
me
Go ahead,
let
boss
me
man.
let me interject. What I am understanding, the standards of cabotage you're talking about allow you to cross the Canadian border from Alberta.
Yep.
Come into use Arkansas. Let's say you go to a distribution facility in Arkansas.
Yep.
You are then allowed to drop. You can then pick up anywhere in that vicinity and bring that load only
Back to
to
Canada.
Canada. You cannot transport anything from Arkansas to Missouri. You
That's
cannot do
right.
that.
Exactly.
So
That's
now,
called interstating or
that
cabotage.
is my understanding. Now, what is it you're challenging, Thumper? Because I'm trying to understand where it is you guys are drawing this this conversation.
He's saying he's not allowed in Arkansas, period.
No, that is incorrect.
Exactly.
No, he just agreed. He just agreed, boss man.
Okay.
I'm calling
The way
bullshit on that.
Wait, okay, the way things go, and I explained this to you when I first started this conversation with you, Poet. Their law in their current situation does not prevent you. If you legally come into the U.S. with an HB2 visa, they can't touch you. They cannot say a word to you. You can transport freight, you can drop that freight, and you can leave and do business in Arkansas. The
Okay.
road they're talking about is when you, as an immigrant, speak no English, have no understanding of how to read English, have no understanding of what English signs mean, and you
I am.
cannot communicate with a law enforcement officer during a safety protocol, law enforcement action, or accident, then you are breaking the law, and then you
I
cannot
un,
operate a motor vehicle. That is
I
what
un,
they're saying.
okay.
You don't fit that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
You
you
don't
But
fit that.
but Thumper, hang on. From what
Last
I
point, and we're moving
read,
on.
Again,
from what
there you
I
go. No, just
Thumper,
stop. No,
Thumper,
just
Wait a
let
stop.
minute.
me
Wait. Let Poet
fine.
finish.
You go,
Let Poet finish, and then you guys we can wrap this up.
from what I read from that law is if you couldn't speak, write, understand, read English,
Mhm.
or did not have a USA uh, um, CDL, okay, you weren't allowed to be in Arkansas.
No, what they're not. No. Before you answer, Thumper, I'll let you
No,
finish in a
I'm
minute.
not. I'm not gonna say a word.
Well, no, no,
I'm
no, no,
done.
no,
No, no,
because
no.
I
Well,
know
What?
what
No,
no,
no.
I know what
We're
he's
going
saying.
in.
I know
No,
what
we're.
I know what he's
No,
saying.
he's not. He's
What he's
reading
talking
into
about.
it what he wants and end of story. I'm not gonna argue about it. I'm done.
Well,
okay.
okay, and it's not up for argument. I'm just what I'm pointing out to the audience so that everybody understands. What you're referring to, Poet, is this non-domicile CDL.
Right.
Just because it's non-domicile doesn't make it any different than a regular CDL. The courts have already proven that by the number of times they bounced this and fought with Arkansas on this whole issue. A non-domicile CDL is the same thing as a regular CDL. So I think that's where Thumper's taking exception.
Oh,
The
okay. So
problem
now,
they're attacking it from, and the reason it's an issue now is because people without the correct skills and abilities are getting it and creating hazardous situations. That's what Arkansas is attacking. That is their right, and that would not affect you. So that being
I
said, people in
agree.
the audience don't have a misunderstanding.
I agree.
Yes.
But
Okay.
you just brought up something totally different that I was not aware of. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we're not going to belabor this
And
because
I'm
we're
sorry.
talking about something different.
I'm sorry, Thumper.
Yeah.
I go by what I read.
Okay. Well, hey, we're all in this to learn, right? That's
Right.
what this is all about, and that's the purpose of this show. We're in this show to learn, and I'm going to move on to another question because I originally had this show for a different purpose. So, who really benefits with this tax credit? That's what this whole thing is talked about, started with tonight. So think about the fleets that got 10,000 trucks. It suddenly might look attractive to a new guy trying to cash in, right? What happens to the small guys who've got to wait until the end of next year to get this cash incentive back? Again, is it going to be the small guys? Is it going to be the mega carriers? Put in the comments what you think. Who's really benefiting from this tax credit or incentive in the long run? Is this something, I mean, honestly, they're putting it out in really small news clips. You know, I've got it linked down below. You can look for it yourself. Name one mainstream media outlet that's covering this. I can't hear one. I don't see one. It's in small print. It's in the fine print. Nobody cares. I care because it affects me. I've been in the end. I probably logged more than 1,900 hours. I'll probably qualify. But I don't personally believe it's benefiting the industry by giving someone new in the industry 2,500 or 33% more than I'm getting, just because 33% is a big difference. So you're saying I'm worth a third less to the guy that just started? I don't understand that. I don't get it, and therefore I don't agree. And therefore I don't think the law will benefit anybody in any way, shape, and form.
It's really not. I mean,
yeah.
The only person that's going to benefit is the people who keep taking our money in the first place.
Mega carriers, which is where I've tried to talk around that, but you know,
I wasn't. No, it's not. It's not mega carriers.
And Fate, I agree with you. See me after the show. I'll tell you what I meant. But
it's not. It's not mega carriers. It's the
I don't think we need to reward the new people. They're already getting enough breaks, tax incentives, whatever. They're already, because when they buy a truck, if you buy a truck, you're already getting max depreciation. You're already getting all kinds of things. You're already in it already. Why give it why not, if you're going to do something like that, make it even across the board. Give everybody the same benefit. That's how that stuff works. Because you know what? We don't need more people. We need qualified people. And that's one of the things that this law seems to skirt over. It doesn't distinguish between who's qualified. It just wants a warm, huh?
How do you get qualified people?
You get qualified by training them correctly, by mentoring them correctly.
Thank you.
By making sure they know what they're doing.
I'm glad you changed that word.
Yeah, well.
You knew I was
How
going
long
to
have
jump
we
you
been
on
talking?
that. You knew I was going to jump on you.
How long have we been talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, there might be some new viewers who don't know this.
True.
I mean,
slap.
But
Anyway.
no, yes, we need to mentor people. You know, honestly, like Dollar, last Dollar here that's been in the comments. He used to haul cattle. He wants to get back into it, but there are times.
And he wants me to run for office. Sorry, not gonna happen.
I mean,
I may be good. I may be a broadcaster, and I'm still learning the whole, nuance of computer tech. But I'm not that smart. Sorry, Hey,
actually, hold on.
What?
At least you can remember your name.
Okay. At
Anyways,
least.
but no, what I was saying earlier, yeah, I bounce ideas off a dollar when I'm confused and stuff. I even do it with you, boss man. I do it with everybody. I mean,
Everybody, yeah.
that's the only way you're
So-
going to get better in this industry is if you ask
One of the many
questions.
questions, and this one I think is very valid to the point we're talking about right now. Why do you think Congress is suddenly caring about driver retention all of a sudden? And do you
Oh,
think
they
they
don't.
really understand what keeps us going? Do you think they
No.
care?
No, they don't. This is just what's the last time we had this discussion about Congress? What did I say?
Well, I mean, they're offering this as
no.
as if it's a boon to the industry, like it's
No.
going to help us.
No, it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
They're dangling
Yeah.
something in front of our face, and there's something going on the other. It's a magic trick.
Yep.
You just
Yep.
wait and see. It's a magic trick. There's something else going on, or there's something
Something,
else
yeah.
going. There's
Yeah.
something
Whether
going
it's
into
good-
that. There's something going into that bill that we don't know about.
Which is probably why mainstream media is not covering it. Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't be the first time something like that has happened. I mean,
Happens all the time in Congress.
Yep. You think this money, and I'll bring everybody in on this one. Comment in the chat, let me know, or call us 860-785-3547. Would this money be better spent on other things like maybe infrastructure, parking, healthcare, training, support? You name it. I can come up with 100 things, but think about it. Rather than throwing all this money around on I could think of far better things, especially when you pack that right behind the fact that Elon and his team have so far found, I forget the number, how many billions in
I
government
don't
waste?
remember.
You know, maybe
I
think this is something good. I don't know.
I can name off a few spots where that money can go to.
Mhm.
Illinois, you really need to fix your roads, and Indiana, you really need to fix your roads
know you were
too.
going to go there.
God,
knew you were gonna go
that
there.
was one of the worst driving roads I've almost been on, other than a dirt road that is minimum maintenance has more maintenance than they do.
I'm serious. Yeah. What do you think? You think? You think there should be other priorities?
No, I think Thumper's got it about right. I
Yeah.
mean,
I can think of 100 things to do with the money rather than throwing it at new guys or guys with
Well-
1,900 hours. But
I need a new
I'm-
truck.
I'm sorry. How about throwing some money at us retired guys?
well, now that you mention it, well,
He
thank
does. No,
Funny.
he has a point there. He does.
Yeah.
I mean, you sit and think. I mean,
trying to
I
make a
know
joke
this
out
is
of it,
this is going. No, he actually has a serious point,
Yep.
and I'm gonna be serious about this
Yeah.
because if you sit and actually think about what the baby boomers and all that other stuff,
Mhm.
we're running out of Social Security. We
And
are.
why is that? And why is that?
Because the baby boomers are starting to retire, and there was a massive one.
Yep.
And not only that, can you mute, please?
I did. I muted him and he
and-
unmuted
and
himself.
not-
And, yeah.
And not only that, I hate to admit it, there's a whole lot of people in there that don't pay into Social Security because there's the younger generation that doesn't want to work.
Yep. We got
I don't know
somebody
if you
back
caught
in.
that or not.
Yep. We got somebody back on the phone lines. Griff, apparently somebody triggered you, my friend. What you got to say?
Hey, boss man.
Hey, have at it, man. What you got to say, man? You're live on the air.
Well, it would be nice if I could get the 10,000, like they said, take the money and run. But this is my first year filing as an owner operator with an LLC, and I'm learning about all, and it's like, I don't even think they're going to have my taxes done by the 15th stuff and everything, and I hate to see if I owe anything back in on it. And majority of the money I've made so far in the last 6 months has went back into the truck, or just basically just to keep it running. And it don't matter if you got a newer truck or an older one. But
what do you think of the idea? What do you think of the idea of differentiating a new guy versus somebody that's experienced? You know, giving the $10,000 to the new guy versus the $7,500 to somebody with experience.
It should be the other way around. And if you're a new guy, you just getting in stuff, you should be only getting like $5,000. If you can prove that you're an operator or whatever, you're able to show that what the money's been going to and how it's been used and stuff, you should be able to qualify for the $10,000 one. Because they're going to tax you on that money anyways that you have to put back into your truck. So if you only made
I think I don't think the money is the issue. The amount you could make it 10, 20, 5, you can make it 2, you can make it $100. It doesn't matter. But the idea that you value numbers and quantity over quality, that to me is an insult.
There still isn't a trucker shortage. Well, if they actually did something about the law stuff about speaking English, being able to speak English stuff, there might be a little bit of a trucker shortage, but that would be the benefit for the other truck drivers because the rates will go up and everybody will be making more money stuff and everything. So
that's where I'm coming from, the perspective of treat everybody with the same level of respect. Because as many years as I've been in this business, that's been one of my biggest pet peeves, is that, you know, Sandy Trucker can do far better than, you know, Misty Trucker or whatever, pick a name. But two individuals can be treated totally different. And in this industry, that's not doing the industry any good. All that's doing is dividing the industry. It's not solving anything. So by paying the new drivers a higher incentive than the younger ones, I think it's setting the industry up on a course to be worse off than it started. It's not benefiting anybody. And I tend to agree with what Thumper said earlier. There's something being put to work in this bill that we don't know about. And they're going to do one of these, pass it in the dark before we even find out about it.
It's going to be a fighting. They're going to be putting something in there. I like the Trump administration. They've been doing a lot of good stuff, but there's still a lot of people that are in there stuff that think they know better than the actual people that are in the industry.
Yep.
So it's hard to say. They might try to throw something in there in terms of or something, you know, just something in general, or more something to enforce more on the EPA on the debt system, because that really is that kills you financially if something goes wrong with it.
Oh yeah, that's a big expense. What say you, Paul? We're about to move on.
Okay, Griff, you have my number. Call me later. Anyway, in Canada, we don't have Social Security. We have CPP, Canadian Pension Plan, / OAS, the Old Age Security System. Mm-hmm. After 60 some odd years of paying tax onto this, I get a monthly check and they still take tax off of it. Mm-hmm. Where's the fairness in that?
Well, I tend to side with ours. What. Well, I was just going to take your side because you'd mentioned about the retirement earlier.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
well,
I'm not trying to
I get what you're saying.
Canada, but that's his government, not ours. Yes, you're taking my side, you know, the Social Security stuff. I get that, but
wasn't that the original intent of sorry for speaking over you there, Thumper.
No. You go ahead because just go.
I was just going. Sorry.
No, complete your thought, Griff. Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, wasn't that the original intent for Social Security stuff for retirement for people? You know, that until people in government decided to start using it as a slush fund stuff to pay for this or pay for that stuff and everything. But now, since it doesn't have enough money because they keep on borrowing against stuff and everything.
That's what I think everybody misunderstands what it actually is there for. Now, Social Security in itself is not designed as a retirement. You want retirement? Get an IRA. Get a retirement fund. Do something good.
401k.
The 401k, exactly. Social Security is a supplement that is provided for you in the event that you cannot work because of disability or if you're too old. It's a supplement. It's, again, supplemental Social Security income. That's what it's called. It's a supplement. It's not a replacement for an income. It's not being used for what it's designed for. And it's 99% of the reason why Elon and his team have gone nuts with the billions of fraud they've had.
I understand that.
Yeah, hold on, Poet. 130-year-old people on the docket? 200-year-old people. I mean, that's crazy.
I was just going to joke. I'm sorry about that.
No, go ahead. I mean, that's crazy.
I was just going to joke around. I should file stuff saying I'm 140 years old, stuff, and I might be able to get Social Security.
Yeah, right? Yep. Or
there's 6 million 140-year-old people, stuff that are on Social Security for getting checks and everything.
It is. Fate, I agree with you. Taxes and these things we're talking about are designed for businesses. They are. He says he pays little and the tax code's written for business. He's very, very true and very right there. Richard Davis says it's unrealistic to pay over-the-road truck drivers by the hour.
I would love to get paid by the hour because for Wednesday night I would be on overtime. I'd be on overtime till Sunday.
Yeah.
But also on that statement though, stuff. But if you had a load that was going 400 miles and it paid $1,500, and you were able to get there in say 3 or 4, maybe 5 hours, you're getting paid $300 an hour.
Yeah. You know? So now you're changing for a 400-mile load. Before it was 400 miles, $300. Now you're upping it to 15.
I'm just using that for an hourly rate though.
I'm picking on it.
It's like if you
I'm
for
picking
a
on
single day.
I'm picking on you.
You still need to put Rush Limbaugh on the side of that truck so I can see you out on the road.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
I'm sorry I opened up a can of worms.
Oh, you do that all the time, man. That's what you Canadian or you Canucks love doing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well.
Last question.
Okay, go ahead. I'm done.
Hold on. Last question. This tax credit. Do you guys think it's an actual real solution, or do you think it's just another way to shut us up without actually solving the real problems in this trucking industry? What do you think? Put it down in the comments. Let me know.
Another way to shut us up without actually solving the problem.
Think? That's a smart guy right there.
Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I can actually use the money because I would use it for what I need to use it or actually benefit myself. But yeah, they're just using it to shut us up.
Yeah. Well, indirectly, yeah, but me, I'm kind of set off by the way they're going about it. Because again, it takes people like me and you talking about it just to get any conversation going, you know? Mm-hmm. The actual idea of mainstream covering it, being in more print, it's just not heard. If this were, as you pointed out a minute ago, if this were mainstream, Rush Limbaugh, or let me back up, start my thought over again. If this were 10 years ago, Rush Limbaugh would be all over the airwaves with this, you know, or stories like this. But today, this day and age, it's not happening. Richard Davis says it's even crazy stupid if you believe there are 240-year-old people. Yeah, that is what. And there was one thumper, I don't know, one he said was over 300-year-old that Trump talked about in the State of the Union. I thought that was comical.
Something like that, but here's something really funny though. I mean, I'm gonna answer your question.
Oh yeah, what's up?
I'm gonna agree with Griff, but You like it
What?
when I do this.
Yeah.
Dramatic pause. Dramatic pause.
Yeah, dramatic pause. Yeah.
There is. They're gonna put something in that bill, and this is gonna trigger midlife. There's gonna be a new regulation. That's what I think.
Somewhere.
They're gonna put it in that bill, and they're not gonna be like, oh hey, by the way, surprise.
But don't think for one moment that I'm not going to hold the Trump administration to their promise. They said for every one regulation they were going to remove 10. So it'll be interesting to see what 10 go, if that happens. Just saying.
Get rid of the emissions.
Just, he did say that. For every one, he'd lose 10. So I'm going to hold him to it. He finally says there's nothing wrong with paying over to drivers by the mile. Just pay truck drivers for every hour within the 14-hour clock. Okay. Think about what you're saying, Richard. You're saying that a truck driver is only worth what he can work in his 14-hour clock. So then, in theory, what you're saying is a truck driver is only worth what he can work in an 8-day work cycle. I know 2 people that are going to be triggered by that statement.
Oh, you got one right here, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's actually a conversation for another live. We've run extremely long tonight.
I know. Let me say what is on my mind about this little comment right there, buddy. So you're saying I can only get a 14-hour clock when I put an extra 3 hours in my day because I am ag exempt?
Griff, so we're gonna take your call again later. We're gonna bring on another caller on the show.
I just gave my employer 3 hours.
All right.
Later, Garrett.
Now let's welcome Fate to the studio line. Fate Truckin in the house.
Hey, Fate.
Good evening. How are you?
Hey, God bless you. I'm trying to figure this whole call waiting thing out.
You sound like you're really tired, buddy.
I think I am. I'm actually in bed, but I wanna be. I shouldn't say the voice of reason because that's wrong. That's not at all what I am.
No, you're the voice of common sense.
I'm saying that you're gonna hold Trump accountable to what he says. Do you guys realize you're talking about a man that said just yesterday? Now, boss man, you're trying to say you're going to hold him accountable. He just said yesterday that our Constitution does not matter, that he is not ruling out being a third-term president. I would highly suggest whatever you think he is going to do for you, he is not going to do for any of us. He does not care about the American people. He cares about himself.
I'm not gonna hold back and disagree with you because you know what? Every person in the position that Trump has put himself in is probably likely to fall into that category. Far be it from me to make that assumption or assertion. But when I say I'm going to hold someone accountable, as a journalist, I have to. Everyone out there that calls himself a journalist to any capacity is going to hold everybody accountable. So you're damn straight. When he says he's going to eliminate 10 regulations, I expect him to do just that. The other stuff you said, I really don't know enough about to comment on, but you know, I can either agree or disagree when I find it. Yeah.
As a journalist, what's more important, tax cuts or our Constitution?
Whatever brings in the money.
Well, no, that's the wrong answer, Tom.
No,
what's most important?
I'm talking about
and I see where he's going. I see where he's going with it. What is most important is the Constitution. So that's the answer.
We're talking about the wrong thing.
What do you mean? How so?
And the reason new entities would receive a tax break, whether we like that or not, I think, I kind of would agree a lot with what Thumper was saying earlier and a lot of what you have said.
Right.
But here's the thing. If you've been in business at least 1 year, prior to all this, you've already received those incentives. If you've been in business multiple years,
you've received a number of child tax credits, these other, a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Not even that. as a business.
Right.
Listen, like, I'm not going to hide behind a cloak.
No.
I pay very little
Right.
in federal taxes.
Right.
Very
I've heard you
little
said it
to
before.
Social Security.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're allowed to.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
But you said earlier the tax code is written for businesses. So
100%.
why should one business get a better break than the other? If you put two identical trucking companies, one's been in business longer than the other, or one just started, why put them against one another? Why make them unequal?
They're not
Why
against
make
one another. The trucking company that's been around for 10 years has received way more than $10,000 in tax credits and write-offs.
Right.
That business that's been around longer than the new entity has already benefited more.
Mm-hmm.
The new entity hasn't.
Yep. True that. True.
It takes money.
Yeah.
To start a business.
Well, and as much as you're right, and I agree with what you're saying, you know, what this article was talking about was individuals, not tax entities. They're talking about individuals. So, you know, if you bring this down to the individual level, I do think
individual can't receive a business tax credit.
No.
That's impossible.
Right. But I don't think this was broadcast in the article as a business tax credit. It was said individual. As I'm scrolling up to check myself, I want to make sure I'm accurately reporting it. This says a refundable tax credit of up to $10,000. So
for what?
It just said enrolled in registered trucking apprenticeships or bill offers an even more exciting incentive, a refundable tax credit of up to $10,000. That's all it says.
Okay. So being an ex-union guy,
yeah.
Do you know what an apprenticeship consists of?
Right. Well, and it goes before, so I want to make sure I talk about it right. It says the tax credits to both seasoned and new truck drivers of $7,500 or $10,000, depending on, as I just read. So they're talking about drivers, not businesses.
What they're talking about is people paying basically for a school.
Right.
Is what they're probably talking about, because anytime you have an apprenticeship, anybody that's been in any type of union style work, you are at the lowest pay scale possible.
Right.
When you are joining an apprenticeship.
Right.
It takes time to get to top scale pay.
So you think this is designed for the schools, and that's what you're saying?
No, what that says to me is remember all the times we talked about driver shortages?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And realistic how
I mean, you may be very well right.
That we experienced.
Fate, I'll be honest with you. I'm not, saying I'm perfect at reading the news articles, but, I read into it. It was individuals. You may be right. And we may be talking about an issue over schooling, and they just haven't written that into that article. I mean, I could be wrong.
Let me be clear.
Yep.
Boss man, I know I'm arguing with you a little bit, and I'm not trying, I have no idea either. Let me be very clear.
Right.
I'm just saying, when you fill out your personal taxes, does that mean, okay, how are you going to prove that you're a truck driver to get any type of credit?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, if you're a business, listen, I don't believe in socialism, so I don't think we should all be the same. I don't,
No.
If somebody receives something different than I did when I started, good for them.
Right.
I'm I don't believe that we should all be treated the same or fall under the same categories in every single occasion. Because what Thumper does is way different than what I do.
True.
Thumper and I should not be in the same pool.
Yep.
He does things way different than I do. I couldn't do Thumper's job.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
I know nothing about that business. I should not be in the same category or receive the same things that Thumper does.
Exactly.
It's too different. It's too different.
Yep.
Well, it's not that hard, Fate. You just got to eat a lot of crayons.
You got to what?
I don't want to get pooped on.
Yeah, right.
I say you just got to eat a lot of crayons.
I'm gonna go to bed, guys. I gotta be up at 3 a.m.
God bless you, Fate. Thanks for the call, buddy.
Made us think. Fate. Have a good night.
It definitely made us think. I'll tell you, because I could be reading this entire thing wrong. I will not claim to be perfect. Rush had that privilege. I haven't earned it yet. So I'm working my way up. But I will say this. It's definitely given us time to pause and think. Because honestly, as much as I do agree with everything Fate said. The one thing, albeit I'm not socialist and I don't practice socialist ways, the one thing I do need to emphasize to everybody is that I think the more equal everybody's given credit, not money-wise, but credit in terms of respect. Careful. The more credit, respect-wise, that we're all given, I think the faster this industry will move in the right direction. Now, I'm not talking about money. I'm just talking about the old school ideas of, as we were talking about moments ago, Thumper, mentorship, respect, taking the time out of your day to spread the messages and make everybody else better for it. I want to wrap up the comments, give you guys a little something else to think about. Richard Davis giving us some more to think about. Why is it unsafe for livestock haulers to use ELDs and not other truck drivers? Go ahead and answer that one, Thumper. Don't just say because of the animals.
Hold on, what was it?
He's asking, why is it unsafe for livestock haulers to use ELDs and not other truck drivers? I think the question he's asking should be the other way around, because you guys are ag exempt and therefore more often than not bypass ELDs. Is that not?
Oh no, you can run an ELD on cattle. Yep. I have a quote unquote ELD.
Yeah. Because I mean, I've seen this comment prior to this, because I think he put this in on our last FMCSA, the ELD video that I put up. So I mean, I'm glad you're here to see it. So address the issue. I mean, because he goes on to say, and don't say it's because of the animals, ELDs only record time and they're the same as paper logs. So I think he's taking issue with the whole idea that you guys are treated differently. So I think that's what he's doing.
Well, he said, anybody could hear me. I think Boss Man's having technical difficulties. So
are you hearing me?
I
all right?
don't know, but if anybody can hear me, I think I could answer that question with the ELD. We have a thing called agriculture exempt, and that right there gives us a 150-mile air radius of our pickup and drop off on the cow and pig livestock side.
Are you hearing me all right now?
And that is for
my audio
the health
back?
and the safety for the animals.
Is my audio back? Yes.
So that is what that's about. Still says we're live.
We are.
But I do believe Boss Man is having technical issues.
Are you
I'm not
hearing?
100% sure. I cannot see the comments.
No, maybe. Are we good?
So hopefully that answers it. If not, we can try to come back to it. If you guys are still watching, thanks for showing up. Like I said, sorry for the technical difficulties. Don't know what's going on there. I will try to get a hold of Boss Man and see if we get this resolved.